100%, no less.
These independent experts who assess the bricks conclude that the bricks were defective. Did they have conclusion that bricks are defective? Do you have?
There's testing of the bricks being done through core samples being extracted from the affected homes, and they're assessed against a set of criteria, suite A, B and C. It'll include crush tests to see the strength of the block. It'll include deleterious materials, the likes of mica, pyrite and pyrite will be tested for in certain percentages, and they will then dictate whether the blocks were seen as excessive in these levels or not. If they are, they're deemed defective. The engineers were trained through the IS 465 training protocol, which they were all brought through.
Why other houses that was built at approximately the same year in the same county does not crumble, but your house is crumbling?
Well, we know that the blocks are derived from the crushed rock that's taken from the quarry, so it will depend on what part of the quarry they're working on at any given time, so it can be hit and miss. The reality is that there should have been testing done on the rock to ensure that no rock with higher than 1% mica was being used in the gravel that was going into the blocks. So it was hit and miss, but it looks like a lot more homes were affected than not. So it's quite random, depending on what parts of the quarry the rock's been extracted from.
Who you think is responsible for making these defective bricks?
The manufacturer is ultimately responsible, and you know, they didn't follow the protocols that should have been followed. Over and above that, you've got the regulation that should have been in place to enforce the quarries to do the right thing was not done either. Celtic Tiger Ireland was making too much money. It was, you know, build them cheap and stack them high and sell them off, and that's what they did. There was light touch regulation, so no one was going out to monitor what the quarries were doing. They were sort of trusted to go do the right thing on their own, and that should never be allowed. There's regulations in place for reasons, and they weren't enforced.
Okay. Is the company who makes the bricks or the insurance company passing responsibility to each other?
Well, the company that was making the blocks first of all declared that they weren't insured. We later found out to be that wasn't the case, but the insurance companies haven't really been called to task on this as yet. Government believe that that's something they will do. To be quite honest, we don't care much about that. We're going after government because it was them that let us down with the light touch regulation. They in turn can go after the insurance companies, they can go after the banks, they can go after whoever they want, but we go after the government and they follow up with whoever they want after that.
Okay. Is there anyone who admit liability or taking responsibility for those defective bricks at the moment, or all of them denying responsibility and liability for defective bricks?
Everybody is denying responsibility. Even in the working groups, the housing department themselves claimed that it was certainly not the responsibility of the state and the state wasn't culpable. We contest that, but no one has taken responsibility for this so far. But the bottom line is someone's negligence led to all these homes crumbling, and as yet no one has taken responsibility for it. So we've gone after government.
Very good. Who actually tests the quality of the bricks before they start building the house? Are they supposed to be tested?
They're meant to be fit for purpose when they arrive on site. So all of the testing is meant to be done at the quarries, by the quarries, and validated by spot checks by the local authorities. None of what seems to have been happening.
Okay. Dublin and Leinster got 100% redress offer. Why Donegal, Sligo and Mayo people treat less favorably than other people in Dublin and Leinster? When you have exactly the same situation with the house as them?
That second part is true. We have exactly the same situation. You've got homeowners that were at no fault. The consequences are different to the exchequer though. The average home remediation cost for Leinster pyrite scheme was about 65,000. This in Donegal, Mayo, Limerick, Clare, Tipperary, Sligo will probably top 200,000 per home. and for that reason they are trying to protect the exchequer, and they're trying to reduce the amount of money they have to pay out per home. But the reality is, for the costs that the exchequer doesn't pay out, the homeowner has to find the difference, which is completely unfair and discriminatory, and which is why we're objecting to that and will not be accepting it.
Like, in my personal opinion, I believe this is discrimination, that they treat people less favorably in Donegal, Sligo and Mayo than in Dublin. A case needs to be taken to Equality Workplace Relation Commission. Is actually dealing with that, you know, because you can't treat less favorably someone. Everyone's supposed to be treated equally. Another question is, in which order are they going to rebuild the houses? Like, in my perception, the government are supposed to choose the houses by most dangerous and least dangerous. To rebuild 5,000 houses takes a very long time and a lot of resources of workforce and machinery.
Yeah, so right now it's a first come, first serve. So if you have enough of money to get the testing done, you're going to get your home repaired quicker. That's not right, because it's probably the people that can afford it most that are getting their homes fixed first, as opposed to the worst first, which is what we believe should be happening. So we have put that in our final position paper, that there needs to be homes red flagged. Paddy Doherty's been talking about this from the start. There are people living in conditions that are dangerous and critical right now. These homes have to be sorted out first. I made that point to Darrell Breen last night. He accepted that that would be the case, and they have to do something different for the worst affected homes first of all.
How many homes approximately in total are crumbling by defective bricks at the moment?
So we believe Donegal has around 7,000, Mayo have over 2,000, Sligo have over 200, and the other counties after that are probably less than that, but only because they're in that stage of denial, the same as Donegal was at the beginning. The homeowners feel embarrassed by admitting they've got a problem, feel ashamed even though they've done nothing wrong. Donegal were exactly the same. Paddy Doherty gave them the courage to come out and be counted and be loud and be vocal and stand up to it, and we think it'll be probably a matter of time before the rest of the counties do the same, and at that point they'll be in their thousands in the other counties as well, just as it is in Donegal.
At present moment, are you living in these houses that are crumbling, or are you living somewhere else? How safe is to live in these houses?
So there's a combination of houses at different stages of deterioration. Some are not too bad at all, some are absolutely shocking. So we visited a home beginning this week. We had RTE up there showing a home with a lady and her 3 daughters living in it. It's absolutely terrible to look at. It's literally falling apart. There's parts that have been held up with props inside, and it's just not acceptable that that's the case. So we have them extreme cases down to cases that are at the very early stages, depending on when the houses were built and depending on what percentage of MICA is in the blocks.
How are families' health and mental health affected when you see that houses is slowly destroying before your eyes? How do you feel?
I feel very let down by the government. It's a terrible burden on every MICA infected homeowner to see you going through the worry and the stress of rebuilding your house, or your house crumbling before your eyes, especially in particular people with small children. When you see it taking effect on them, it's not good. So yeah, it's taken a huge. As I say, it's a topic of conversation. Unless you have MICA, nobody knows the topic of conversation that goes on around the kitchen table. It's very stressful, absolutely.
Is government providing you any legal documents what this nature redress will cover and not cover? Could you please tell me what is not covered in this 90% redress? Like,
well, at the moment everything's up in the air, so nobody really knows what's happening yet. It was supposed to be a 90-10 before, but it was more of a 60-40. But we're going to get a better outcome today. I'm not going to say we're hopeful. We need a better outcome.
Okay. What are the reasons they refuse to give you 100% redress?
What are the reasons that they would refuse to give us 100%?
Redress, yeah.
We can't even start thinking like that. We're going to get 100%.
Yeah, but before, like, they wouldn't.
There's too many things that weren't in the scheme included, which was making it more of a 60-40 than a 90-10. So there was a lot of loopholes.
Did they give any arguments like, oh, we think you're not getting 100% redress because of this, such and such? Did they ever explain why is he not giving you 100% redress?
I think we've been asking for that since we were down in Cavan. There was ones down and they were shouting, just somebody come out and tell us why we shouldn't get it, and there was no reasons.
No.
Okay. Do the government want you to use all the windows in the house, same doors, same tiles, carpets, wooden floors, oven, fireplace?
Well, in the old scheme, yeah, they were looking for everybody to use as much as they can, but now we're hoping that there'll be a big change here today.
A lot of things will be able to be reused, and we'll be happy for them to be reused, but obviously, like your tiles can't be reused, and if units, if something's built onto the wall or built onto the house, it might get damaged coming out, so it might be able to be reused. But we would be happy, we're not looking for anything extra. If it's going to be reused, we'd be happy for it to be reused.
How safe is to live in these houses every year, and what government representative says? Like,
well, our house isn't overly safe at the moment because we're down for demolition, like a lot of other people probably here today now. But we've got one wall at the back of our garage which is almost in need of imminent collapse. So I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer that. But at the moment, it's not good because we have bison slabs on. So we're hoping and praying that nothing happens before this scheme comes out and we get some sort of remedial work started.
okay. Is the infrastructure already built up around the houses? Trees, bushes, sheds, fences, gates, walls, garage? Who is going to demolish this and place everything back?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we're going to have to wait for the outcome and for the answer of that. I don't know if it's going to be included in the price or not. That's going to have to be wait to see if there's a cap. That will determine that. Relation to bushes and branches and stuff, I'm not sure.
I'd say they just stay where they are.
I don't think we're too worried about the rose bushes at the moment.
But they're supposed to cover 100% because initially it's their fault. And if it's 100% redress, they're supposed to cover it because it's not your fault what happened.
Correct.
It's that's what I believe. Like, do you think that the crumbling houses could start to fall apart if there could be strong winds and rainfall?
There's always risk, and like nobody can say that your house is going to withstand the next shower or the next storm. And Donegal is quite an exposed county and would be open to the Atlantic and the storms. So nobody can say that our houses are going to survive another winter.
Each winter they just get worse and worse.
Okay. What support has the government provided during these many years to the families of crumbling houses?
Absolutely
Nothing.
Nothing. Zero.
They've made it harder and more awkward.
More stumbling blocks in front of us.
They're causing people's mental health to be a lot worse.
So they did absolutely nothing. No counseling service. No one.
No, nothing. We've been asking for it for a long time. They haven't given it. They won't give it.
Okay. Are newspapers and radio highlighting the issues with MICA and pirates and houses crumbling?
Absolutely. The media has been a big help to bringing this to where it is today. Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think radio and newspaper wouldn't highlight the issue as much as they are supposed to before?
Possibly the readership and maybe felt that it wasn't of interest, it was just a Donegal issue, or it wasn't of interest to people in the capital city or to their media base, their sales base.
How many letters, phone calls, meetings have been made by you to the local county council, government approximately, and what responses you got from them?
The group, and there's been a few different versions of the group, have been ongoing for, I'm sure, 10, 15 years, if not more. And they have spent countless hours and thousands of euro, I'm sure, doing their own investigations, and have been left with more brick walls and difficulties put in their way.
Okay. The last question would be, did they try to place anything in writing to agree between you and them? In writing, not just promises.
Well, they did come up with a scheme. They did come up with a previous scheme that whenever we tried working, people tried to use it. They offered what is supposed to be a 90-10, that they would provide 90%. But it turned out it was just about half by the time people paid up for the rest. You had to pay thousands to get access to the scheme. You had to pay to test your own house, whereas in Dublin they only had to pay a few hundred to get access, to get tested, and then they had access to the scheme. So it's been, the odds are stacked against us in Donegal.
So basically they treat you less favorably than other counties, or other people in different counties, like not treat you equally. And did they give explanation why they do that?
Just ignore us.
Not anymore, they won't ignore us anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
If we don't get the right answers today, we'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. Just personally, I support you guys, and we support you, what you're doing. You know, I hopefully will get 100% redress, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks.
You know?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.